Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All2ReelToo. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me via Zoom today is
Matthew. Democracy is a good system of government, Haas.
That's a really long middle name. Is that one word?
Yeah, it is.
Just okay.
Kind of like a German word. It's just like a lot of different letters.
A lot of different
Kinda
syllables
like
and everything. Yeah, like how do you do you have to ever write that all out? Or is it just a D?
I just do like a D, so.
Mm-hmm. Something tells me that's not your real middle name.
No, it's not. No, my middle name is Alan because my parents named me after no one really. They just like the name, I guess. But
were they big Flash fans and named you after Barry Allen?
No, not really. I don't think so.
So,
and they actually spelled it the way that I don't like it spelled either. So that kind of pisses me off a little bit because I like it because like on the Baha'i cards. I don't know why I'm whatever. You're gonna hear the word Baha'i a few times in this podcast, but
yeah.
Like on the Baha'i cards, they have like your name on it, whatever.
Yeah.
They misspelled it as Allen. Mine was actually spelled Alan.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I like it with the two L's and the E. It's more elegant. So thanks, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, no, it's more elegant.
Yeah. Oh. Wow.
So, anyways, today on the episode, we have another All2 interview. Matt and I talked to Amir Korangy, an actor who has appeared in 1989's Batman. He was in Night at the Museum, Secret of the Tomb, the TV show Scorpion. He was in NCIS Los Angeles. In guest role on Mom, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Silicon Valley, Shameless, Dead to Me, Grey's Anatomy, NCIS. He was in the movie Spree, which just came out this year. And you will know him probably best right now as Sayid, one of the our Cloud9 associates on the TV show Superstore.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Which he is hilarious on, in my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah. He was a great interview. Really nice guy. Very talented, too. He took some time off of acting and stuff. He tells us a little bit about teaching and things of that nature, too. And learned a lot from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good interview. If you got the time to dedicate to it, you should really listen to it just intently because he's really good, very good storyteller. He's a little bit self-effacing, humble, and stuff like that. But he's really, really talented and skillful at what he does.
Yes, and we got some good stories here for you, and hope you enjoy this. Right now, here's our interview with Amir Korangy. First off, thanks for joining us. How's life treating you these days? I know with the craziness of 2020.
Apart from the craziness of 2020, life's treating me very well. Actually, it's been odd because you look at the negative side of what's been happening this year, which is horrendous. It's horrible for a lot of people. But I've been trying to make the best of it, really. Just catching up with old friends on Skype, because I've had more time. A lot of us had more time, and so it's given me an opportunity to catch up with all the things that when you're too busy with life, you ignore people that mean a lot to you. And so I've caught up with a lot of old friends. I used to live in UK, so I've had a lot of Zoom calls with colleagues and friends in the UK, and so that's been a positive reinforcement of that everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be all right. Hopefully, you have to.
So, where did you grew up in the UK, or did you?
No.
This
is a crazy thing. No, I've had a very eclectic upbringing because I grew up I grew up until the age of 13, 14. I grew up in Tehran.
Oh, wow.
In Iran. I know. And then I went to high school in Pennsylvania, believe it or not. And then went to college in DC. And then my wife's British, so my wife, that's why I went to UK.
Gotcha.
Went to UK. And then was there for 25, 26 years, almost working there. Most of my adult life, really, my work life. And then came over here in 2011. Moved to LA in 2011.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I know. So it's been you know what I mean? I've lived lots of different places. That's
quite a journey there. Yeah.
Quite a journey.
How did you, when did you get started in acting?
Right. Well, my major at GW was pre-med. But that was because it was a bit of a, sort of almost like you want to call a family tradition, a family sort of wish that, that's what you do, that's what you're going to go into. But then I found myself reading literature more and reading plays and being much more interested in theater. And I thought, look, I just got to take some acting classes, which is what I did. And that was it. I was hooked. So actually, I didn't start so much later. I think I was about 18, 19. However, I started learning directing as well, studying directing. And I directed my first play at 19. So I was really into directing, big time for a long time, and teaching and directing. So most of my career, really, a big proportion of it has been teaching and directing, because I ran a drama school in UK for many years.
Oh, wow.
That was run by, the president was Dame Judi Dench. I was the head of acting, and Dame Judi Dench was the president. Yeah, I was the head of acting, the head of postgraduate courses for 7 years, head of the whole acting department for another 7 years. So I was like 14 years running those BA and MA programs over there. And so I was really heavy into education and drama education, particularly theater, though. So my background was mostly in theater. In UK, I did some film and TV work. It was not that huge for my age. I don't have a huge, as it were, a resume, as they could say, CV over there, a resume up to a certain point, because I left acting for 16, 17 years. Yeah. While my kids were growing up, because I didn't want to gallivant all over the country doing gigs, for not much money. And I just thought I need to have a steady work of teaching, full-time teaching. And once they got into college and went to college, I thought, well, I could go back into it. That's when I went back into acting. So yeah, I've got a gap in my, my career.
It's a good reason.
Which I'm happy about. So, to be honest, I'm very happy about it, because I'm glad that I spent that time raising my kids and, paying attention to that. So,
because if you miss those years, you miss them growing up, and then you're, can't get those back.
Absolutely. You can't get them back, and you can't get them back.
Yeah. So. I saw early on in your career, you had a part in Batman. Yeah, I saw that on your resume. I was like, I haven't seen the movie in a while, but it is one of my favorites, and I don't know if I remember you or not, but I'd have to go back and rewatch it. I'm a huge Batman fan. My bathroom's all Batmaned out, so
you won't be very impressed. I've only got one line in it. I've only got one line when I come in. I'm Bruce Wayne's wine steward. That's how I'm credited. Bruce Wayne's wine steward. So and I just come in and I ask him if we need to open a few more cases of champagne. That's about it. And that's in that hall of with the armors, all the suits of armor, and that big hall. If you remember that scene, that's where I come in. But the story behind that is hysterical, because I was in London, and I was, at the time, I think I was teaching, and suddenly my agent said, well, I've got you this meeting with Marion Doherty. And that was quite impressive, because I thought, oh my goodness, Marion Doherty was the head of casting at Warner Brothers for endless number of years, and they even have made a film about her called Casting By, which is all about her career, which is a documentary film which is very successful. Anyway, so I was very impressed. Oh my goodness, I'm going to be seen by Marion Doherty. I was in my 20s, the mid-20s or something. And then So I went to her office at Warner Brothers. We had a conversation. She was from Pennsylvania, so we had a chat about Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh Steelers, and and I didn't even do a reading or anything like that. It was just we got on just having a conversation, and she was very sweet. And I don't think there wasn't a part for me. I think she just liked me, and she thought, I'll just give him something. I really truly think that was kind of a mercy call or something. She just thought, hey, I like this kid. Let's just give him this one line or something. And I'm pretty sure that's what it was, because it just didn't make sense. I just came in and asked this question when I thought that doesn't help the story or anything, And I was so nervous. Because I had never done anything of that scale, and I'd never actually encountered stars that big. And suddenly I'm like in makeup with Michael Keaton, and I'm like, and I see Jack Nicholson, and I'm like, oh my God, there's Jack Nicholson, there's Michael Keaton. I mean, so it was nerve wracking, but yeah. Hey,
it's a good thing to have on your resume. I mean, yeah.
it does pop up.
Comes up. I
know. I love the fact that I'm credits. It's fine. It's great.
Yeah,
it's nice to be on there.
Yeah, I was looking at your Internet Movie Database and saw that, and I was like, oh wow.
I know.
Yeah.
Ancient. Yeah, that was the first one. But I'm telling you, the set was the most awe-inspiring part of that was actually seeing the set at Pinewood, because it was from the front as you went into it. It was Gotham City. It was humongous. I'd never seen a set that big. It was very tall. It was very high up because I had to have the high rises and everything. It was unbelievable. And I remember at the time it was costing them £60,000 a week to maintain it.
Oh wow!
There was just a maintenance cost, just
That's
purely
crazy.
Maintenance, and we're going back to 1988.
Yeah.
So is that insane? I don't know.
How when you got back into acting, I mean, I might want to talk to you a little bit about the teaching as well. But how did you get back in? Like what drew you back in? Right.
Well, that was the scary part, because if you've been away from it for 16, 17 years, you've been just directing mainly theater and stuff, and suddenly you're trying to get back into acting, particularly in a medium you're not terribly comfortable with, which is film and television, and wasn't my medium at all. And so I thought, oh, what the hell? I've got nothing to lose. I had a period when I had to sort of the transition period from moving from UK to Los Angeles. That's when I got an agent in UK for that. Like, it was a 6-month period. She got me 2 gigs in that period. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I still remember how to do this. So that was kind of a bit of an encouragement. It was it was small jobs. One was a commercial and the other one was, a small job. But I thought, oh, okay, at least I'm getting it. I still can get the jobs. And when I came to LA, I had to start from, of course, kind of scratched again in a way, because nobody knew me here. I had to go and get an agent, get a manager, and get a manager first and get an agent. And so went through that whole process, and go through a lot of auditions. And just what I realized was that it was a little bit different. The expectations were different. The system was different. Obviously, auditioning for film is totally different than theater. So that took in different genres auditioning for it. So I had to kind of, although intellectually you understand this stuff because you teach it, I had to in practice work on it a lot. After I would say 6 months, 7 months, I got my first independent film, and that was fun. I just thought, oh, this is great. It was an independent film, had a good part in it. It was a good second lead, and that was fantastic. It was Stepping High,
Yeah.
And then from then it just kind of picked up. I got NCISLA, guest starring in NCISLA, and that just kind of gradually picked up. And as the casting directors get to know you and the industry gets to kind of get familiar with you. But LA has been very kind to me. I have to say I'm very, very grateful, because to restart a career at 50 is insane, which is what I had to do, which is what I did. But so I'm very lucky and very grateful. Really,
that's awesome. When you were like teaching, what was like the best advice you were able to give to like your students about acting?
Well, one of the best advice is that, you know, all the training that they do, it will not kick into fruition unless they actually understand the applied part of it, which is when they go literally into the audition room and they go into a rehearsal room and they're working with directors. So I used to kind of reverse engineer a lot of the teaching, you know, to go back from, because sometimes people teach theoretically, and what happens is you learn a lot of things, but you have no idea how to apply it.
Yeah.
And in the real world, it's just theoretical. It doesn't work for you, you know? So I work it the other way around. And so the best advice was that if you don't learn how to be very relaxed and confident when you're working and know that you are the best version of that character at that moment, that's the way you need to think, that this is it. This is the way it should be done. Even when you go into the audition room, that you're not auditioning, you're showing them how it's done. You're showing them in rehearsal or in a production. You're actually doing the performance, basically. You know, you're performing right now. This is it. This is your performance. That's what you go in. And that's your audience, and you're taking care of them. They're not judges. They're not sitting there in judgment in your audition. Although they are, you need to have that mindset, you see. If you don't have that mindset, somehow you're diminished. There is no way you can bring in all your resources and tap into all your resources, and particularly creative resources, because you're too uptight, you're too worried, you're worried about the results. If you feel that the results are already done, you've got the job, this is your performance, you will always do better. You may not get the job, but you will, over the long run, you will always do better.
Did you do much acting on stage yourself then too, or?
Yeah. I did a lot of directing and a lot of acting on stage. Yeah. Over here and in UK as well. Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah,
did quite a bit of that.
I think there's something cool about theater where you have the instant gratification of the audience like reacting to your thing. I mean, I used to do theater for years, but I haven't done it in probably about 10 years or so. But yeah.
Oh wow, did you? Yeah. So you know exactly that buzz. And also you know how the rehearsal process is different. I feel that you're a lot more in control of your performance once you're on. That's the version the audience is going to see that night. You know, you're not going to have 5 different takes or 10 different takes where the editor picks the performance that they feel is right, or you know what I mean? Yeah. You're on stage. Who's going to stop you? You can do what you want, and there's an empowerment in that. I kind of like that. And I'm sure you felt that when you were doing it.
Oh, yeah. And it's like every performance is its own thing, even of the same show. Each one's different.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right? Everyone is different in its own way. It's got its own, character and merit. Yeah. True.
Did you have any questions here, Matt, that you wanted to ask before I move on to more questions?
Well, I just kind of wanted to touch on what you just said a little bit a few minutes ago about just feeling like you're doing a performance, not an audition, because just from like sort of anecdote, I've had just a very minimal number of short roles and some indie films, and I don't even view myself as an actor, and so for me it was just there was really no pressure, and I just do the delivery, and it wasn't I wasn't shaking and stuff like that. Right.
And I'm sure you were much better than some people that were really trained actors that, highly trained. They were worried. If somebody highly trained and worried, they're not going to be any good. They're just going to look, do you know what I mean? They're just going to look terrible because, but you probably came across really natural and comfortable.
Yeah, because I was. Because I was I'm not an actor. So
it's great. So. And I think it's a very odd thing because it all depends on the genre as well, and this is the difficulty because with certain genre, because people think acting is all the same fundamentally, but you work with different genre. Procedurals are different than sitcoms do, and it's very different than gritty real shows. Because there is natural behavior and then there is comedic performance, and then there is character character-based performances, highly character-based performances, eccentric character. But, you know, there's, and procedurals have like a different rhythm and different sitcoms, a different rhythm. So those little nuances, to get used to those nuances is the tricky part a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know? What was like the first, bigger role that you did after you got back into acting? I know you were on like Scorpion and some other things for a little while.
I think the first big one was actually, when I got back into that, it was that partly that, in terms of circulation, I would say the guest starring on NCIS LA. Okay. That was big. Yeah, because it was I was in it all the way through the episode. The central core of the emotional story was my characters, so that was great, and it was fantastic working with those guys. It's great. Yeah, and
working on a procedural, you said, is different than like a sitcom or anything like that. What would you say is like the major difference? Is it just this?
Well, sitcoms have a particular rhythm that you need to be aware of, you know, that the comedic timing needs to be maintained. And this is like a short version of an answer, without getting into it too much. You know what I mean? Because you got a lot of techniques in comedy, like reversals, change of tone, you know what I mean? Yeah. And people don't notice what goes into it, but what makes something funny, a lot more goes into it than what people think. And I know sometimes it happens naturally with actors, but that's a result of a lot of stuff they've accumulated in terms of technique. You know what I'm saying? Technique disappears when you know it, right? You don't think of it as technique. It just happens. And they think, oh, so-and-so's got good timing. Yeah, but that person's worked on that timing, maybe, you know, for a long time. It didn't just happen. You know? Yeah. And so there's that with the sitcoms. Procedurals tend to be, again, depending on what role you've got. Like if you've got a guest starring, okay, so perhaps the emotional core of the story is your responsibility to a certain extent. But if you're co-starring, if you're guest starring, that's the emotional. If you're co-starring, you're not. If you're co-starring, you're a tangent storyline. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's an offshoot, and so you don't want to be. You want to deliver and move on. You want to deliver the story. It's about storytelling at a certain pace. It's not all about you. So if you become very indulgent as an actor, if you see what I mean, and you shift the focus of the whole story, which you can't do. So you want to know, I think one of the things is just knowing exactly what the job is. I always tell the students, it's almost like getting somebody in to do some job for you in your house. You know, you're going to get a plumber in or something. You don't want a plumber coming in and doing more plumbing than necessary. You know what I'm saying? You don't want him to put a bathroom in every room. That's not the case. You want him to know what the job is. So you gain more confidence in that plumber if they come in. A professional one would come in and they will assess what the job is before they tell you, you know, how much it costs and before they decide how much it costs and how much equipment they need and what technique they need to use. You see, whereas an enthusiastic amateur plumber, as an amateur enthusiastic actor, will come in and wants to do all of it. You know, oh great, I'm going to do this and I'm going to build that for you, and then eventually they'll mess it up anyway. You know, everything will leak and you got disaster, and you know. So I think that's the difference because bottom line is that when you're actually in the profession, we all know time is money, and you have to deliver regardless of how you feel about the artistic merit of what you're doing. That's your sacrament. You just got to deal with that. Nobody wants to hear about that. You got to, and sometimes you have time to deal with it. Sometimes you don't. You know what I'm saying? And you kick yourself. You watch something you did and you think, oh my goodness, I hope people know I know better than that. I'm not that bad, honestly. I know better, but I just there was no opportunity because they gave me a line last minute. I had no time to rehearse. We were short on time in terms of the takes, you know what I'm saying? And I wasn't the lead, so I couldn't actually afford to require more takes. Yeah. Which is also one of the difficulties, as you all know, you know. Because they shoot you first a lot of times. You see, the lower you are in the ranking, you go first and you get less takes. So your performance can somewhat suffer. It's not an excuse, but it's a reality. Yeah. Let's face it, that does happen. Anyway, I don't know if I answered your question.
Oh, no, that was...
I veered off.
That was perfect.
I went off on a tangent.
So, I mean, basically, I think you know, the main thing is you got to have focus on what you're doing and not try to draw away from the focus of the story.
Absolutely.
In a way.
Yeah.
Too.
And know exactly what you need to deliver. You know, I think a lot of times these people do too much. They want to do too much. They want to show off and do too much. And it's like, no, serve the material, serve the story, and serve the text. You know, serve what the writer is trying to do here. It's really not about you. It's about the whole story. And if you take that into consideration, I think you'll come across better. You serve the story better.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell when somebody's trying to make it all about them, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes the over-the-top performances or sometimes
it can get annoying.
Yeah,
I know.
Like they're in a different tone.
I
yeah.
Absolutely. I worry about that in my performance all the time because I think sometimes it is over the top with Sayid, but you know, I'm trying to judge it, you know, from performance to performance. It varies, you know. That's the honest truth of it.
See, that's the other thing. Back to that, we used to host. We're maybe getting back into it eventually, but we used to host a Superstore podcast as well on top of this one. And we were going episode by episode, but then we kind of fell behind, so we're only in like the second season. So before you came in. So
way before.
Yeah.
I came in season 4, yeah.
Yeah. So how did you get the role of Sayid on there?
Oh, that's the funniest thing because it was so like, you know, you go to auditions that you have 2, 3 callbacks, you have the producer session, you have this, that, and the other, you know, you're stressing, I really want it, do I get it, not. This was literally the day before my agent said, you got an audition tomorrow. I said, I got classes, I'll go in between my classes. I literally went between my classes and I went to the audition, and it was sides from not the first episode I was supposed to do, but 3 episodes down. It was the sides were the one with a prayer. When I do the prayer and she's pumping milk and I'm doing when Amy's pumping and I pray. Yeah, I pump while he prays, that one.
Yeah.
And that's a good one.
Yeah. And so that was the one I auditioned for. And that was it. There was no callback. I just went back home. They called and they said, you got it. But it was a possible recurring.
Yeah.
It was a possible recurring. And I think I only had one line. And when I went on set and I did that one line, they laughed. And then the writers came over and they gave me another line right there. And I did that one. They liked it. And I got the feeling, okay, this possible recurring. It seems like they like what I'm doing. And lo and behold, they called me back again and said, recurring. And then I've done now 40 episodes.
Wow.
So as of today, 40 episodes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
go ahead. Yeah.
Speaking of like how you're talking about like showing off and delivery, like one of my favorite moments in that episode is where you just walk by Amy and you just point to like your prayer rug, like just to signal that it's time for her to like pump, and it's just like it was very subtle. It wasn't like it wasn't like, you know.
It's that time, Amy. Yeah, it's that time, Amy. That one. Yeah.
You kind of like point to the prayer rug, and then she's like, "Oh well, I pump, he praises the whole thing."
Yeah, that was hysterical. That was funny. That was funny.
So, speaking of Amy, America left the show recently. Is that changing the way the set is or anything, or?
Well, everybody's very, very sad to see her leave. She'll be sorely missed. You know what I mean? She's a wonderful, wonderful lady. She's a force of nature.
Yeah.
What she gets done is unbelievable to me. She really is a force of nature. I mean, she's politically active, socially active, lots of causes. She's always involved. She's a mother of 2 kids. You know, she runs a family and she runs the show. She's executive producer and she directed some shows and she's acting in it. So unbelievable. But, you know, and she was lovely. So we miss that. Obviously, we miss a lot of things about her. But people have been very good to keep everything going. The set's been it's been a very, very happy set. Obviously, with the pandemic situation and COVID, we had something like a 54-page procedural document on the changes.
Oh, wow.
At Universal in terms of production. And we had an hour seminar we had an hour seminar to go through those 54-page document, for 4 pages. And I get tested every day.
Oh, wow.
Even if I'm not working, I get tested every day. Yeah. I have to go to the studio, get tested, and come back. And even if I'm not working on that day. We get the temperature checked twice a day, tested every day. So that's different. And there's a lot of visors and masks and distancing and all of that stuff, of course. So yes, it has, on that score, it's changed quite a bit. But people are dealing with it. And I think the writers are doing an amazing job coping with it, to be honest with you. They have decided on masked and unmasked areas for filming purposes only, not when we're off camera. Off camera, it's all masked. But when the camera is on, because we have distance, it's set up so we have distance. And because we're all tested literally every day, we take the masks off. And that's only in, like, let's say, the break room situations or when it's not around customers, of course. So those have changed. But the writers are doing, I thought they had so much, I thought there was a lot of pressure on them for the first 2 episodes, to be honest, because coming back, I mean, look at the changes they had to deal with. There was that passage of time thing. And then there was Amy's character, Amy leaving, America leaving. And then there was the pandemic, right? It was just way too much, but I think they did a great job trying to address it personally.
I think it's good that they address it in the show, because if it would have ignored it, it would have felt weird on that show. I think so. That's the thing. So I think they were also struggling with that, or trying to think, do we do it? So they had to address it, and it's good because now it's done, so we can get back on track. Yeah. I mean, especially on a show where the characters are essential workers in the world. So, I work at a Walmart. Absolutely. I work at a Walmart myself. So I've been there for 10 years. So that's probably one of the reasons I relate to the show pretty well, even though I don't really deal with customers because I work at night. But, and so when we're closed most of the time, but, But it's pretty accurate to the way that the life of a superstore in the real world is, which I think is a good way to...
Good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's what people are saying, because that's the difficulty, because they have to keep it accurate, but nevertheless it's comedy. So it needs to be, it's all of those little elements, all those little quirks that we all have has to be highlighted a little bit more, otherwise it won't stand out, it won't be funny. So
it's
it's true.
I mean,
it's true.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No. I was going to say they do pick up. I think they're really acutely aware of a lot of tiny little issues that come to the surface in those sort of places, and just socially. So they're constantly addressing very topical stuff, aren't they? Yeah, the writers.
I think one of the great things too about the show is the diversity of the cast of characters on there too. It's rare to see. I mean, it's starting to get a little bit better with shows like that and like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and other shows that actually have a diverse cast. But it's good to see now that TV's starting to go that direction, because most of the time it was people that, look like me, but, white guys. And that was it. So, yeah. But I'm glad that
I mean, it's good. I mean, one way or the other. I think the balance is always important. I think it's the balance. You can go too far one way or the other, but I think the balance is important. Yeah, that's what I feel.
And with Superstore, I mean, it's very realistic in the fact that you don't have, and nobody's really a stereotype either, which is good too. Which I love about that, about the writing and.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Oh, good. That's good to hear as well. That's good to hear. That's great.
Hello, I'm Tom.
And I'm Brian.
Hosts of Be Hero Fights.
Home of the greatest debates of our time.
We tackle the tough topics such as
Fortnite vs. Call of Duty,
McDonald's vs. Burger King,
John Wick vs.
Wait, is that really fair?
Nevertheless, join us weekly on Spotify, Apple, Google, and pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts.
And hear the madness ensue.
And as always,
fight on.
Hi, folks. This is Michael E. Cullen II from the podcast that you're listening to right now, along with
manager Matthew Haas.
You got promoted?
Yes.
Damn it. Okay, anyways, folks, do you like the show Superstore?
Well,
I don't know. I asked the folks and nobody's answering me.
Because they're not here.
Oh,
but we love
damn
it.
Yeah, we love it, though. Okay, folks, if you like it as much as we do, you're really going to like the Superstory podcast, which is a podcast where Matthew and I go episode by episode and give our little opinions and thoughts on it. Sometimes we have guests, sometimes we don't. Just depends on how we're feeling.
Yeah.
And, so if you like this podcast and like our little crazy banter,
then you should definitely check this out. Or I might get sad. And when I get sad, it gets pretty sad.
yeah,
So
I can't deal with him when he's sad.
no one can really. So
Yeah. So check out Superstory Podcast right here where you get this podcast, Superstory Podcast. So you said you grew up in Tehran. How was when you left, was it under good circumstances or bad circumstances or anything like that? I was just wondering.
Good question. It was starting to go a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
It was starting to go a little bit crazy. And it's bizarre that at that age, I kind of picked up stuff and I thought, you know what, I don't see my future like being able to survive here like this. You know, I don't see my future here. And my uncle was already a doctor in Pennsylvania. So I didn't leave with my parents. My parents still stayed. This was when I left. It was before the revolution. So, but my parents stayed, and so I was the only one. And then they said, so I left, and then I lived with my uncle when I went to high school in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. He was a doctor there, a radiologist, and so I stayed with him. But he, so then the revolution happened, which was horrific for everybody, and my parents were there during that time, and then they had to get out. My dad had to send the rest of my family out while he was still dealing with stuff. And then he managed to come over to States a couple of times. And then the last time he went back, they wouldn't let him leave. And he got stuck there. He got stuck there for 12 years before he passed away. So we couldn't see him the last 12 years of his life. None of us, because I couldn't go back because I wasn't allowed to go back. They would take me straight because I was the firstborn, and they had beef with him, the new government, for no reason apart from the fact that he was a policeman in the previous government. He was in the national, but he wasn't political at all. He was just in the National Guard. And he was also, he had some business, but there was nothing, So anyway, but that happened to a lot of people. We were still one of the luckiest because a lot of his friends were just literally I know he had friends where he'd gone to dinner with them, the two brothers. There were two brothers. They were his friends. He went to dinner with them. Everything was fine. The next morning he heard they'd been taken out and shot.
Oh, wow.
They were like that. There were summary executions happening all the time. So we were freaked out but 12 years of waiting for him to be able to get out, and they never let him out, and he passed away, bless him. So that was a traumatic moment in my family's life, a big traumatic moment. But everybody was touched by that. However, you realize the value of democracy when you go through that stuff. I voted my first American elections, to be honest, this year.
Oh, wow.
This was my first voting. Oh, yeah, because I was in a UK passport. I was on a UK passport. I only went on American passport last year. I was on a UK passport, and always had American residency, but UK passport. So that was kind of exciting. And just to defend it, I don't think people realize the value of it until they've been under a government like I was for those 13, 14 years, where you feel like, oh my goodness, you can be taken out and shot anytime. Right. Just because you said the wrong thing, just because you're holding the wrong book, and it happens all over the world. And people get very, they get very comfortable in the West, and they're just like, oh, everything is good and we can mess around. No, you can't. You've got to take democracy and the people's referendum very, very, very seriously. So many people have fought so hard for it. Sorry, I know I get.
Oh no,
passionate
go ahead.
Because I've lived through the opposite. You know what I mean? I've lived through, and my family has lived through it. And I mean, the rest of my family, it took them 5 years to get out. So I didn't. It took a long time. But anyway.
Yeah, because we have a lot of friends from Iran, and they've told us, pretty much the
similar stories.
Similar stories. Like we had one friend who she got out, and then someone had, I guess, seized her and her husband's home out. I think they just took the home. They just what's the word?
They did that with my dad's house.
The word they use a fancy word for it's basically just stealing a home, but they something I can't think of the word right now. But
I know exactly.
Reapportioned or
requisition or
someone had found out, I guess, their phone number in the United States and then called them from that home or something like that. And then I think the government found out about that, and they were like trying to almost spy on them from Iran to their new home in America. So it's like even outside the country, they're trying to harass them.
They had their tentacles reach far and wide. They've killed people outside the country. They've assassinated people outside the country. It's pretty, they're pretty scary. They're pretty scary. And those stories, they exist. It's absolutely true. And they took my dad's house away, our family house. He built it himself. They took it away. They just took it. They took everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
it's as simple as that.
Yeah. About 20 years ago, I became a Baha'i. So So that's how we know a lot of Iranian people. And
sure.
So it's some of the stories I did a folklore paper on the history of a lot of Baha'is coming from Iran back when I was in college.
Did you?
Yeah. It was really interesting.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, I bet it is.
Yeah,
I bet it is.
Just sad, some of the stories, though, where they escape as a child and go all around the world to finally get to where they landed and ended up. Yeah.
So difficult. Yeah. So many people were so badly treated. Yeah. Awful.
Yeah.
Awful. Yeah, Baha'is were really badly treated.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they still are, unfortunately, and so are a lot of people there, unfortunately, and hopefully things get better. But I mean, it is what it is, unfortunately, and just we got to be glad we live in a country where we can vote, and
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. People should realize that.
You got some. Not to get too political, but I've started to notice these people who are trying to intimidate people. It reminds me of the stuff I see on the news from, quote, third world countries, the cars and the caravans and the flags and the people with guns, really meant to intimidate you, saying you can't live the way you want to live. We're going to decide for you.
I know. That's not the democratic way, is it? It really isn't.
No.
I think if people just chill. And I mean, I do think both sides have to see one another's points. I do think there's a lot of disenfranchisement on the part of people, and that's what happens. They become more reactionary. I think people when they're disenfranchised, it's almost like revenge, right? So they lose sense of balance and basically logic, right? Because they're acting emotionally, purely emotionally. And then all hell breaks loose when that happens, of course.
We just gotta realize we all bleed the same color, and we all kind of, we're all human. Doesn't matter.
We all bleed red. That's true. Yeah.
So, back to Superstore really quick. How great is it to work with such a great, talented cast of comedians and actors?
It really is. One of the things I always enjoy is learning from other people. Even when I was teaching, I learned from the students that would do something. It's this is great. I'm learning from you guys as well. And so I love it. It's such a great learning experience for me because they all have their very distinctive personalities. They're all extremely friendly. They're always very welcoming and friendly. So it's wonderful. It's very much of a family atmosphere, and they all come from very eclectic backgrounds and so super talented. It's wonderful. I mean, they're all really, really funny, and and some are great improvisers, and so you have a lot of great laughs in between scenes as well. I'm not one of those people. I'm not, by nature, I'm not funny. Do you know what I mean? But I don't think. But some people, but some of them are actually hysterically funny. You know, off character, they're very funny. So that's always fun. That's really fun.
Yeah, I think, like
it's a lot of fun.
Like Lauren Ash and other people are just really, I mean, talented. I saw her years ago before she was ever on TV at Second City up in Toronto. And she was great up there. And then I forgot I saw her, and then I saw her on TV and realized it was the same woman. And I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
But yeah.
She is such a pro. Lauren Ash is such a pro. She really is. And again, she does a lot of things. She had her own podcast during the pandemic. She's doing, she was doing lots of stuff. And she also writes. She's written the odd episode, I think, Lauren. Yeah, she has. Yeah. She's written some of the episodes in the past. So she's a good writer. She's very, very good. She's so professional. And she's so on it. Amazing. Very, very good. She's very fast with processing things and, on set, like such a good problem solver and, in terms of the work and processing direction. So very impressive. Yeah. I mean, they all are really amazing. It's a very talented cast. I think, I do think you are funny though on there, definitely. So just letting you know you are funny. So I mean, thank you.
Yeah, the character.
I mean, in person, as a regular person.
Syed is I told
Sayid is funny,
I told a friend of mine that I was interviewing you, and they said that you're like their favorite character on the show, and I was like, really?
Oh,
wow, that's cool.
Sweet.
Yeah. So yeah,
wow,
she was
cool.
she's like Sayid's so funny, and I'm like, oh yeah, he is. He's really funny. Yeah.
That's cool. That's very. I appreciate it. Surprises me sometimes, but I appreciate it. That's great.
Hey folks, this is Michael E. Cullen II from the podcast that you're listening to right now, along with
Matthew Haas.
We just wanted to tell you about our great podcast called Super. It's called All2Real. And on that show, what do we do, Matt?
We watch biopics, and then we talk about whether or not the movie matched up with the real story or not. So it was a lot more exciting than that, though.
Yeah, so we analyze the real story and the real story.
Get it?
Get it?
Real.
Yeah, they're spelled differently, folks. You can guess which one I said which way. Anyways, so sometimes we have a guest, sometimes we don't. But we talk about great movies like Shattered Glass and The Social Network and Futile and Stupid Gesture, among others. Those are some of the ones that we've covered so far, and we're going to cover a lot more. So please subscribe on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your great, fun podcasts. And be sure to share it with your friends.
Do it.
And make sure you're not afraid to get all too real. Bye-bye.
Do you have dreams that you want to achieve but are scared to do so due to self-doubt, fear, and other people's criticism? I have just what you need. You need a dose of the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, where I interview guests that will motivate and inspire you to stop at nothing to achieve your dreams. And always remember, if you believe, you can achieve.
Have you ever had in your career any kind of challenge, like where you felt like you weren't going to be able to make it in any way or anything? And how did you overcome that?
Well, I'll tell you this one. Okay, I'll tell you this story. And I tell you, I've told this to students because I told them never, ever, ever to do it. Like ever to do this, like just like never, no matter what. Even if somebody holds a knife to your throat, just don't do it. It's too painful. Don't do this. So this is what happened. This was much younger. It was my late 20s, and I went to a commercial audition in UK. But it was for a Saudi very expensive Kuwait Saudi bank. It was a Kuwait, Bank of Kuwait.
Yeah.
So, they were trying to advertise their card, their debit card for the ATM machine, right? But this was being filmed in Manchester, in UK, right? So I go to the audition. Now, get this. I've studied Arabic, but I've only studied Arabic as in the way you might have studied Spanish. If you did take Spanish in high school, did you take Spanish? Okay. But I don't know. You may be good. You may be a good Spanish speaker. I don't know.
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I guess that was a good guess. All right. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I could only just maybe a few words, and maybe I could just kind of barely read it. Right. That was it. So I go to this audition, and I figured it's a commercial. I probably have one line. It'll be fine. Right. I will say I can speak Arabic, right? So I go to this audition, and they said, "Can you speak Arabic?" I said yes, and but they had me do it in English because they had nobody who was Arabic there, right? And but they said, "Oh, okay, good," and I got the job. Anyway, I got the job. They fly me up to Manchester. They put me up in a very, very posh hotel. We go to dinner. It's a beautiful dinner, but it's a dinner and a production meeting for the next day. And I'm looking around, and I don't see any other actors. And I'm like, "Where are the other actors?" They're like, "No, you're the only one." I'm like, "Okay, all right, good." And then they give me the storyboard. They put the storyboard in front of me, right? Okay, now obviously the commercials are much longer than 1 minute in Kuwait. Okay, it's like a 3-minute commercial, all right? And they put a storyboard, and I see, oh, that's me. Oh, okay, so I'm in every shot, right? And I'm speaking. Okay. Then they give me the script, and it's a full A4 sheet of paper in Arabic. I'm not kidding you. The equivalent, I would say, of a minute and a half monologue. I'm not kidding. I was having, this is how precisely I remember this. I was having this beautiful Chateaubriand because I thought, hey, they're paying for it. But as soon as they showed me that, it all went right through me. I mean, I literally felt like I need to go to the bathroom right now. Okay. So, guys, I almost shit myself, really. I did, So I was like, they're gonna kill me. They're gonna. On top of that, they showed me the set. They'd recreated the whole front of this bank at the studio in Manchester. So they'd spend like tens and tens of thousands. It was unbelievable. The set, like, this is supposed to be Kuwait, but now it's in Manchester, and I'm just the only person on this commercial. Because they got a lot of money, those guys, you know that. So I thought, that's it. I'm a dead man. What do I do? So I was just like having headaches. I didn't know what to do. I like sweating. I recognized that one person at that production meeting looked Arabic, and I pulled him aside. He was luckily enough, he was the sound guy as well. And I said, I pulled him aside, and I said, "Look, you gotta help me here, man. Like, I did this stupid thing, and it's wrong. I know, but I'm in big shit trouble. I'm just kind of opening up to you here, right? You're gonna save my ass. Could you please record this? And I will learn it phonetically all night. I'll be up all night. I'll learn it. I swear. I will learn it, but just record it because I don't know what it's saying. And could you please tell me what I'm saying? Because I know from sure." So I sat up. So he wrote it in front of each, each caption, as you do. And I was up all night. I was up from 9:00 at night till the shoot was like 8:00 the next morning. And I learned it phonetically. And you know what? I got through the day. We wrapped at 5:00, and nobody said anything. And on the way back, I went in the bathroom and threw up, of course. and came home, and I said, never, ever, ever am I doing that to myself again. No way. But honestly, I thought it was going to be one line. I didn't know they're going to give me a whole page.
Right. A whole documentary about the bank and the history.
Oh, I'm telling you, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. I've never been so. So if you talk about challenges, that was really well. That was a challenge, and it was a nightmare. Basically, that's what that was. But yeah,
I know they always say they say not to lie, but I know everybody does say things like, "Well, I can ride a horse, or I can, I can shoot a bow and arrow," but people,
Right? You don't want to be doing that. You do not want to be doing that. I agree.
Then you get roped into it like, oh shoot. But what you just said though kind of does remind me a little bit about I guess sort of like the resilience that is required to be an actor is kind of to basically be in crisis mode and just sort of manage it, and then once it's over, then you grow up,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You do. Yeah. It's amazing what you end up doing. I mean, a lot of times I've been, actors in theater, as you know, you're sick, but it's amazing because you could have congestion, but you're backstage. As soon as you're supposed to go on, it somehow clears up. It's weird. The adrenaline kicks in, and you've got to do it because you have to do it. Yeah, it's true. You're right.
Do you have any other projects in the works or anything? I mean, I know right now things are probably slowed down because of COVID and everything.
Things slowed down, but you know what? This is the bizarre thing. That sometimes it's feast or famine, as you know. As an actor, it's feast or famine. You go through phases where there's no work, and you're like, oh, audition. You don't get them. You get the odd one. And then suddenly, while I'm doing this at the moment, believe it or not, there are two other shows that wanted me to do it. One was another recurring, and another one was just a one-off guest star. But there's conflict.
Oh no! Well,
I know it's a good problem to have, but isn't that typical that it's stupid? And the conflict is not when we have time off. The conflict is when the show is going on because we have hiatus periods. We have the whole of that December to January kind of period. But no, these had to be exactly when we're filming the show. So unfortunately, that's not going to happen. It's been a little bit. Auditions have slowed down a bit, but there was a spat of auditions that came through. A lot of self-tapes, but then some Zoom auditions. But guys, oh my goodness, Zoom auditions are problematic a lot of times. That's what I found. I mean, not a single one has gone without a hitch of some sorts, always some problem with it. Like, because, especially if you got a producer session thing with like 5-6 people are on there. Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, did you catch that? No, I didn't see that. Oh, I didn't hear that. Oh, do you want to? Okay, we'll come back to you. Oh, we'll put you in the waiting room and we'll put you on deck later. We'll come back to you. I mean, all of that happens, and as if you haven't got, you're auditioning. So, when you're in the audition room, before you go in, you get yourself in the zone and you go in, right? But when you're online, you got to wait on deck. It's like a virtual, entrance. And if that gets delayed or gets messed up, you're out of the zone, so it's a little bit difficult. Self-tapes are of course easier because you're more in control.
Yeah.
So it's been tough. It's been rough for actors, but it's been rough for casting directors as well. I think that Zoom auditions because, a number of times once they forgot to tape everybody on that day of auditioning, which was a nightmare for them.
Oh, jeez.
They had everybody on Zoom, but can you imagine? They probably auditioned like 50 people that day, but they didn't tape a single person. They had to do it all over again.
Oh, wow.
I won't name names, but, these things have happened. They do happen.
It's the drawbacks of technology sometimes. You forget one thing and it's gone.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies that I've seen recently, you were in Spree. You had a small role in that. Wow, that was a trip. That was a great movie. It was very unique. Yeah. I think it's probably one of the best movies I've seen in the last year. So
it's very different, wasn't it? Very different. Yeah. That was late at night. Yeah. It was very late at night. It was a night shoot, actually.
Yeah.
It was a night shoot. So, yeah. Actually, I had fun shooting that. That was fun because the director was very cool. And, it was wonderful working with a great actor there. And he was, they were all very nice. It was a night shoot, so I got to just drive around while it was one of those, I'm trying to remember, the cameras, GoPro.
Oh, yeah.
It was just a GoPro in the car. That's all it was. So I was actually driving around. So it was a real driving around at night. Just kept driving around. Part of it was partly improvised. It was just, yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, it was unique. I mean, how every angle was on a computer or on a GoPro or something like that. It wasn't. Yeah. There was no like real cameras. That was kind of cool.
No, I thought it was very clever. Very amazing to do that. That's right.
But yeah, I highly recommend that movie to anybody that's listening here. Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, I'm glad you liked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know how it was going to pan out, so I know I had only a tiny little bit in there. Obviously, I might get killed because he drives my car afterwards.
Driving
my car.
But it was.
That's how I found out that's how I knew I was dead when I watched it. Believe it or not.
You didn't know before? No.
No, I didn't. I watched it. I thought, oh, okay, so he killed me. There's the car.
It was an interesting movie. So. Is there anything that there's a question I like to ask people. Is there like any director or actor or anybody that you haven't worked with that you would love to work with?
Oh my goodness, so many.
Yeah, I'm sure.
On, we all have those.
I know. Just like
so many. No, where'd you start with that one? Oh my goodness, where'd you start?
I know it's a tough question.
That is a tough question.
Yeah.
Because where'd you start with that?
Yeah.
That is a. But obviously, okay. I'll make it easier for you. All the big directors, all the ones that directed all the top. How's that?
Yeah.
All the directors
all of them.
that directed that. Or even a better answer. Okay, all the directors that directed the big blockbuster films that made the actors a hell of a lot of money. Those ones.
That's a good idea.
Spielberg, Lucas.
All of those, right? I'm kidding. Yeah.
But
there's so many great actors out there. I think it'd be good. But the actors I love to work with. That you do get actors. Just as a general answer to that question, you do work with actors sometimes, and I will not name names that you feel like, oh my goodness, you really are so competitive and so vicious that in a reverse shot, when they do reverse shots, you do another one. Well, that you giving them your all when it's their take, and they don't give you that when it's yours. They have a little grimace on the face, a little lack of focus, which throws you, which makes their shot better. And I caught on to this years ago, and I thought, I hate actors like that. I really can't stand actors that do that. I think it's awful when actors do that. But actors that don't do that, I mean, I did something in film which I'm so embarrassed about because I was so horribly bad in it. I was really bad in it. It was with the opposite Michael Caine, but he was so gracious as an actor, and he was big time, 2-time Oscar winner. When it was my shot, he actually said, "Look, I'm not going to, because your eye line is going to be this corner of the matte box. So I'm not going to look at you. I will look down, but I'll deliver the lines from here, and you want to deliver it here." And he was like, it was very early in my career, and I hadn't done film and TV, and he was just so wonderful. I still appreciated that. I thought, oh my God, what a wonderful, wonderful man. And this film, it was Michael Caine was in it, and Roger Moore, the old sort of, the James Bond.
Yeah.
Roger Moore and Michael Caine, and the two of them, and I was a totally unknown person coming in doing 2 lines in a film, right? They came over to me on the set and introduced themselves and said, "Welcome to the set." It blew my mind. Honestly, I was like, I love these guys because they deserve to be where they are, because they're so magnanimous, so generous with their time and their attention, and that's why they are where they're at, regardless of whoever thinks of them, of whatever people think of them as actors. So but then you also do get sort of some talented actors that are basically assholes, unfortunately, and I've seen that as well. And it's unfortunate. So actors I like to work with as generous actors, where they make you and themselves better because they're collaborative.
I know. I'm an independent filmmaker myself, and I know that it's a lot better when you have the two actors there, even if the one's off camera, to interact with each other.
Oh,
because
gotcha. Absolutely.
I had to refilm some lines because we changed some things on this movie that I did, and we had to refilm them 4 months apart. And the other actor was in Chicago, and we couldn't fly him in. And so we had to do the other guy's side, and it was just, I don't know, every time I watch that scene in the movie, I can tell, but, other people probably can't tell, but I'm just like, I feel like, I was like, I know he's acting opposite me and another actor, another producer or something, not the, not the actual actor he's talking to. And you can tell if you look far enough, but, I know you got to have some kind of, because a lot of acting is reacting too. I know that. So it's like,
Of course it is. Yeah. A lot of it is reacting. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. But that's lovely to do. Films are fun to do. I did I think one of the things that I'm proud of was one that was Breath of Life, which was just a half-hour film. So it's considered a short, of course, but it was nominated for a BAFTA. We were nominated for BAFTA, and I played the lead in it. So that was, I remember when the BAFTAs were on, they were showing it on UK TV all the time, and it was my clip that was going around every night, and I was like really proud of it. But at that time, I was so poor, I actually couldn't go to the BAFTA ceremony. The director said, "Can you go?" I did not have enough money to actually, I'm serious about it. I didn't have enough money to buy the tux and to buy the wine when I'm there, because it cost £50 apparently to buy. And I was that poor at that point. And I made an excuse to the director. I said, "Look, I'm not feeling well. You guys go." And then I watched it on TV, and it's like, but hey, it's the way it is.
Well, at least you're in a nominated film. I mean, that's great.
That's what you go through, up and down. Oh no, I know. I was very thrilled. Yeah. And the film that won, the lead was James Fox, so I didn't feel too bad. James Fox is a very famous British actor.
Oh yeah.
He was in Gandhi.
Oh yeah. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time. No,
that's fine.
Where could people find you online if they're interested or anything, or what, or anything that you want to tell anybody before we let you go?
Oh, well, the online
or anywhere.
Actually, I don't do a website at all, but as in I don't do a website, so they can, whatever I suppose comes on, I put up on Instagram, Instagram at A Korangy. That's it. I'm A Korangy. It's at A Korangy. That's it. My last name.
That works.
AKORANGY. That's it. Yeah. Instagram is the one I use, I suppose. Mostly.
That's cool. I'll be sure to share that in the notes. So if people want to, say anything to you after.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And,
absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time. This was very generous of you. Yeah.
Oh, pleasure, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah. That's, it's really lovely to meet you both. Yeah. And Mike and Matt. Yes. And I hope. Great. Thank you. I hope that was all right. I hope that's what you wanted.
Oh yeah. And I hope the rest of 2020 goes well for you and the future as well. So.
Same with both of you. Good luck with your careers and, all your interests in films and filmmaking and acting and all that stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lovely to meet you both. Take care.
Too. Have a good night.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Okay, that was our interview with Amir Korangy. That was a great interview there. Had a lot of good insight. Hope you guys enjoyed that. So now that the world is moving on here in 2020 and democracy might not be dead, I'm hoping the world enjoys it. Hopefully things start to get better in the world. Not going to hold my breath, but yeah. What's on your mind, Matt? What have you been up to lately?
Just just been following politics a lot. As per usual. Still working on, still plugging away on all of my music projects. I'm working on my 5th volume of my music, right now, and just putting, video clips to it and all that kind of stuff. It's, really, I didn't realize how much output, I made throughout the, decades or whatever. It's that, actually quite astounding.
Yeah.
Not to toot my own horn, but just the fact that I didn't realize I've actually made that much material, because I'm like, okay, I'm on my 5th volume of stuff here. It's still got a bunch more to go through.
In the music, do you toot a horn at all?
Actually, a couple songs I do have a horn.
Is it your own horn?
Yeah, it is actually my own horn. Well, it was my dad's horn from band way back.
Okay, good. So you did toot your own horn then?
Yeah, but a lot of the horn stuff is actually just samples. But yeah, there are a few actual recordings of me tooting a physical horn, if you will.
Is it against the law to toot someone else's horn?
Depends on the state. I don't know. The weird outro.
It's okay.
Maybe we should cut that.
No, I think it's good. It's good.
Okay.
We're just being us. But anyways, yeah. So yeah, and in my world, I've just been watching, Chuck and Superstore and Brooklyn Nine-Nine constantly, because I like those shows. Those are my 3 favorite shows to watch lately.
Your comfort shows.
Yes, watching some Mandalorian, listening to some podcasts about serial killers and stuff.
Your comfort stuff.
Yes,
serial killers. Hey, I was listening to the Behind the Bastards about the Satanic Panic. So
yeah, me too. I listened to that as well. So yeah,
and then before they had the Jordan Peterson episode. So
yeah.
Really lighthearted stuff.
And that is something I'll recommend to our fans. Nothing like our show, but it's great podcast, Behind the Bastards.
Yeah.
Robert Evans is awesome. Hopefully we can maybe have him on as a guest someday if he's listening.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah. Anyways, anything else before we wrap things up here, Matt?
Just be... just be nice to other people. Be nice, be kind. The election's over, regardless of what some people say. It's over. If you didn't like who won, oh well. Just be a human being, and just believe in democracy, I guess. It's very low bar stuff here. And believe in democracy if you're an American citizen. I know it's the lowest bar possible, but...
And if you're listening to this before December 15th talking about democracy, our podcast has been nominated for the best podcast by the Toledo City Paper. So go onto their website. There'll be a link in the show notes, and you can vote for us.
And you can vote, every day, right?
Every day until December 15th, so...
Can you vote just once a day, or can you vote, all the time throughout the day?
Oh, once a day.
Okay, gotcha.
Once a day per email.
Gotcha, okay.
So, I'm not telling people to cheat or anything, but if you have several emails and you want to vote for us several times a day, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't.
Not what I used to do when I was a member of mp3.com to get more listens for my songs. I definitely did not do something like that. So,
yeah. So, anyways, before we go, make sure you check out our show notes. We've got some links to our Patreon and our TeePublic page where you can get some cool T-shirts to support us. Those are the best ways to do it. Also, share us, rate the show, all that good stuff. And just remember, it's okay to toot your horn, but if you want to toot somebody else's horn, ask permission first.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to All2ReelToo podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.